You gotta get into the groove.
Hi, this is Simon Leung back with G Live. If you're joining us live, give us a hashtag live. If you're joining us on the replay, give us a hashtag replay. Hopefully, you had yourself a wonderful weekend. We want to welcome you to yet another exciting, brand new start to yet another week. And of course, we want to make sure that before all of that you have thoroughly enjoyed your time off, that you enjoyed your weekend. And I'm curious, how did you actually spend your weekend? Let us know inside of the comments. Now, for many of us, of course, we spent some of that time with you over the weekend, and that's because as part of our community, we also have some trainings for you. And with that, we talked about strategic partnership and leadership over the weekend. If you want to find out more about all the cool things that we did, go ahead and visit me on my Facebook profile. And of course, you'll be able to see some of the cool things that have been happening as well. And the reason why we decided to do all these different types of events and training is because I'm sure you'll agree, times have changed, right? Times have changed so much that most of the businesses that have been focusing, let's say, on Facebook marketing and Facebook ads for a number of years, for the last several years, as far back as we can recall, well, for the active marketers, I'm sure that many of you have also seen that because of recent changes within Facebook, within the algorithm, within the system, within all of the iOS updates and everything, for any active marketer for the last several years who have pretty much depended on Facebook ads, well, unfortunately, they have all been impacted by this change. I know many companies that unfortunately went out of business. Now, you think that in the early years or the early months of 2020, the entire world changed and made a huge impact, and it did. And don't get me wrong, make no mistake, during that time, a whole bunch of different businesses also, unfortunately, went out of business. But for many different businesses who were able to adapt online, they were able to adapt to what they called the new normal at the time, right? We were still able to survive very well, in fact, all because of transitioning into the online world. And then in the end, we were able to drive traffic and make sales and do a lot of really cool stuff as a result of Facebook ads. Right? And so with Facebook marketing, it's definitely helped save the lives and many businesses of many business owners and entrepreneurs and marketers from all around the world. But especially over the last few weeks, and as much as we want to continue to depend on the Facebook algorithm, the Facebook system, the Facebook marketing, unfortunately, because of all the different changes that's been happening over the last several weeks, all these things had to come to a stop, right? And so when it comes to all the businesses who have been depending on Facebook ads, well, we know that it's not really nearly as effective anymore. And so for many of the businesses that I know of who were still able to survive, they were still able to make ends meet, they were still able to at least make sales and generate traffic and keep their businesses running as a result of Facebook ads and what they've been doing with social media marketing. Well, unfortunately, because of these recent changes, I've also seen an increase of the number of companies, the number of businesses who went out of business. And this, unfortunately, also includes the businesses that belong to many of my own friends, my own business partners, JV partnerships that I've ventured with in the past, right? This is a real big change that literally has changed the scope of things and turned the internet marketing, online, offline business world upside down, at least in recent times. And so with all of that, just like what happened in early 2020, right? The experts, we adapt. And this is no different right here within the Groove community. Now, I'm not sure how many of you actually caught the podcast last week with Mr. Mike Filsaime and John Cornetta. For those of you who didn't get the chance to check out some of the things that actually happened, I want to direct you really quickly to our YouTube channel. Okay, this is the YouTube channel of Groove. And if you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribed, make sure that you have your notifications turned on, because lots of cool things definitely do happen right here on this channel. And as you scroll down, yes, you're going to see some recent updates and recent content that's been uploaded over the past couple of days. But the one that I want to direct your attention to is this one. As you can see, I've seen it. I saw the whole thing, all 1 hour and 20 minutes of it. This one was, I believe, from last Thursday or Friday, and it was a Groove Digital podcast with Mr. Mike Filsaime and, of course, John Cornetta as well, the two founders of Groove. And during this actual event, during this actual podcast, they talked about the future of Groove. They talked about what is next, what is in store. Can you guess what it actually is? Leave inside the comments your guess on what the future of Groove actually is. Now, here's the thing. As we like to say here in, well, Southeast Asia, as we like to say in Chinese, directly translated, I'm just going to quote unquote open guess, which means I'll reveal what the secret actually is. If you somehow missed it, I highly recommend that you do watch this in its entirety, because Mike does get into depth about the reasoning behind all the different things that came up to, the decision that's been made, actually close to making that decision within just the last week, and all the reasons behind it. But if you're wondering, the future of Groove is in fact YouTube video marketing. Mr. Mike Filsaime and John Cornetta, as well as his guests inside of the studio, they go into depth about why YouTube is actually very important. Not just YouTube though, video marketing in general, video marketing as a whole. And yes, this does include both organic as well as paid advertisements. Now, of course, again, definitely watch this podcast episode if you haven't already for a full complete training by Mr. Mike Filsaime himself, which I'm sure you're not going to want to miss. But of course, in terms of YouTube itself, for me personally, I of course feel that it's a great strategy, and I am very excited as well to be involved in the incorporation of it, in the growth of it, and actually being nitty gritty into the actual details of the project itself. And it makes sense. Mike and John and Donna Fox, they invited me to come on board to do some additional YouTube and video marketing with them and for them. And I'm very, very excited to be able to take on that. And it makes sense because of my background. For those of you who may or may not know, I used to work at Google at the exact same time that they just bought over YouTube for over $1 billion USD at the time. And so I was integral as a part of creating the YouTube video marketing system, as well as, of course, the Google algorithm and all those things associated with advertising and marketing. And so when it comes to talking about pay-per-click, when it comes to talking about search engine marketing, this was something that I've always been a fan of. And, I kept a low profile. Every time that people were talking about Facebook marketing and Facebook ads, I never said anything. Of course, I went along with it. But if you know me, if you know anything about what I do in my business and everything along those lines, I actually never actually ran any Facebook ads. Why? Because to me, ever since the beginning, maybe I was a little bit biased, right? Because I came from Google. I knew about the YouTube system. I knew how to get things organically. And if I were to do any advertising at all, it would be with pay-per-click. It would be with Google. It would be with search engine marketing. Now, for me personally, I've never really dabbled. I mean, I did dabble in it. I had teams who kind of worked on it and things like that, but I never really was that invested into Facebook ads, because to me, a lot of times people were interested in going onto the social media. And if you really think about it, it's not really that big of a loss For those of you who depended on Facebook ads and you wanted to, figure out new ways to overcome your problems, it's never really that big of a loss, because by comparison, and I've done a lot of research, I've done a lot of studies and analysis. I know that by comparison, Facebook ads, at least in my businesses, in things that I compared with, the sales, the conversions, the traffic was very, very low in comparison because of the type of traffic that you're actually getting. Think about it, right? Because when you're on social media, we're thinking in terms of our markets. We're thinking in terms of our audience. When you are on your Facebook newsfeed, what are people usually prone to doing, right? They're looking at social media, they're commenting, they're socializing, and all these ads were not things that they even asked about, right? These were not ads that they wanted to look at. These were advertisements that were more or less a disruption, weren't they? They were a disruption that disrupts and interrupts their process. And 9 times out of 10, at least in my personal experience, when I see a sponsored ad, a sponsored link, if it's not something that interests me in the first split second, I continue scrolling, right? So that is the unfortunate truth and the concept behind Facebook ads. Now, granted, I'm not saying that it doesn't work. The years have gone by and it's proven that it is a working model, right? People make money, people spend money, people make a lot of money from it. It is, in fact, something that absolutely works, no doubt about it. But in comparison, by concept, when people are on Facebook, they are interrupted by what they're doing with advertising that's pushed towards them, but conceptually, okay? When they're on Google, when they're on YouTube, chances are they are actually searching, aren't they? They're searching for an answer to a question or a solution to a problem. And so when that happens, this means that they're expecting to see an ad. They're expecting to see an offer. They're expecting to see a website that provides them with something that may be relevant to whatever it is that you might be offering. So just by that concept, and just also in combination with my experience, I know that with pay-per-click, with search engine marketing, and even search engine optimization, okay, the organic stuff, my conversions go skyrocket as compared to Facebook ads. Now, this might be different depending on which niche you're in, what market you're in, what other thing that you might be doing, right? And so with that, always take these types of advice, these types of experience with a grain of salt. I'm talking from my experience, the experience of my students, the experiences of my clients. Okay. Now, of course, we have numbers to back those up. So I do have a reason to believe that by comparison, because of the concept of how search engines work, the actual conversions have a much higher chance for you to be successful. And of course, a personal reason for me is, of course, something like this, right? I am very biased when it comes to, I don't know, Google ads or YouTube ads, because I myself am also a recipient of Google checks that come in every single month. And so when it comes to stuff like this, whether or not you can see it, I don't know, but this is something that I feel is very high potential. And that is why I know that there's so much more opportunity when it comes to Google as well as YouTube ads. Now, just so that you know, in my past life as well, I ran a lot of different businesses, many online, many offline. And of course, in the last year and a half, a lot of things changed. We went online, we changed business models. We do a lot of free things. We're building a lot of brand new community at this point in time. But just so that you know, in the past, I also used to run a lot of my own courses. I did a lot of live seminars, live in-person previews, events, workshops, and guess what? I ran a lot of those workshops on the topics of SEO, on SCM, as well as YouTube. There's a reason why I never really went into Facebook marketing and Facebook ads as a full-blown course. Yes, we implemented, yes, we had internal trainings, and yes, we executed for ourselves, but it was not something that I personally believed in long-term. And so for any one of you who may have known, who might have followed me, who have seen any one of my classes, you will notice that I built my entire brand around Google as well as YouTube. Even though when Facebook marketing and Facebook ads was pretty much the entire thing, right? It completely dominated for a very long time. Everyone and their moms and their dads and their dogs and their pet hamsters and even cockroaches, flies on the walls, everything and everyone, they were promoting Facebook ads and Facebook marketing. I stayed away from that, right? And for a very good reason. Even when I was doing my very own live events, believe it or not, I never ran one single ad, not one, never spent one penny on ads. Every single time and every single week, we would fill up our rooms to its capacity. We've exceeded our registrations, and we did this 100% organically, and the rooms are always full. Okay, so does organic marketing work? Does SEO work? Does search engine marketing even work? The answer is absolutely yes, if you know what you're doing. Okay, but of course, when it comes to YouTube ads, these are also very important, especially when you're in the global online space. The difference between the global online space versus the local live events that I've been doing is that we were very easily able to target, again, if you know what you're doing, all the local keywords, right? If people are looking for free internet marketing live event in Penang, Malaysia, or in Kuala Lumpur, or in Singapore, or in Vietnam, or Thailand, or Indonesia, these were all the places that were dominating, right? And so it was very easy for me to dominate, get the organic listings and results from all these local keywords. However, when you're in the global online space, such as what we're doing right here, right now, inside of Groove, that is a completely different game. And that is why I am very, very excited to be working this alongside with Groove, because I know that there's so much more learning for even me to be had, to be learned, to be developed. And I am very, very excited to continue to personally develop myself as well as my knowledge when it comes to YouTube advertising and SEM advertising for the global market. And so when everything is all said and done, if you're interested to learn as well what I have learned, then I want to invite you, of course, to connect with me, to stay in touch right here on the G Live show, because we want to make sure that as much as possible, we share what we learned thus far, just like how Mike was able to share what he has learned so far during this actual podcast. There is so much more learning that is to be had. We're going to be working with agencies. We're going to be working with coaches and mentors, consultants. You can rest assured that there will be a lot more improvements, and pretty soon you will be seeing Groove all over the place when it comes to video marketing, YouTube ads, and the like. So are you excited about all of that? If you are, you're interested in seeing Groove online dominating our global brand, as well as learning more about how you can replicate this for yourself, then of course, let us know inside of the comments. We look forward to sharing more of that with you as well. Now, in addition, we also understand that, of course, for many of you who are starting out, YouTube ads may not necessarily be where you're at right now. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you don't have the budget. Maybe you don't have the knowledge, the experience. Maybe you don't have the product or service for yourself to garner the reasoning and the logic behind launching your own YouTube ad campaign. That's okay. Because if you're still interested, though, in learning more about, let's say, YouTube marketing, let's say video marketing for free. Do you like free, by the way? If you like free, let us know inside of the comments. We just happen to be having this topic on the topic of YouTube video marketing as the subject of our very next mini course that's going to be happening this weekend. If you're interested to learn more about this, if you want to know more about how you can join us to learn more about video marketing to promote Groove as a super affiliate organically, and get this, even potentially without creating any videos or using actual videos that Groove allows you to use, okay, then what I want to invite you to do is to either reach out to me or send me a private message, leave a comment on this video or whatever, because we want to make sure that you are, as part of the Groove community, okay, as educated and get as much private free training as possible, this is what we want to do for you. All right. So if this is why you're here because you want to learn more. You want to be a part of the community. You want to learn more about video marketing and everything that we do, and you wanted to learn it for free. I invite you to reach out to me, because this coming weekend, we're going to be doing something extremely, extremely cool. It is going to be free. It's going to be live, and who knows? There might not even be a replay. Okay, so with all of that, I want to invite you to be there live and in virtual person with us as a community, so that we can all learn together. Granted, just so that you know, I mentioned earlier, in my previous life, I used to run workshops. I used to run, courses on this topic. This is something that I used to present to live audiences around the world for thousands of dollars. Okay, in tuition. However, this coming weekend on our next mini course, it's going to be absolutely free. So if you're interested in that, definitely let us know. We will be more than happy to present you with the training that you want, to present you with all the information that you will need to be a Groove success, and obviously become a super affiliate for the Groove community. Is that something that you want, something that you're interested in? Let us know inside of the comments. So in terms of the updates, that is pretty much all that I have for you right here. Make sure that, of course, you join us in our YouTube channel, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. If you haven't already, we want to make sure as much as possible that you are, of course, as connected to us as we can. All right, that is our update. If you need to go at this time, this is goodbye. However, for those of you who are around, I do want to say hi to just a few of you who have been leaving us some kind comments over the past, 20 or so minutes. We have Chanel all the way from India who has joined us #live. We also have Steven. Also a great hello to you as well. Steven is saying decorating, which is pretty cool. Maybe you're decorating yourself, or maybe your I don't know, your website or your environment. I don't know, but thank you very much, Steven, for sharing that. Chanel is also joining us live. Chanel also said, had a great weekend, spent wisely, getting some priceless training from Mr. John Chong, Chester, and Nicholas McIntosh. Thank you very much, Mr. Chanel, for joining us for our weekend trainings, because that is the kind of value that we like to provide to our community members as well. We have also Tata Corvera, who is joining us #live. Nicholas also joined us #live with a Facebook user that we cannot see the name, we cannot see your face, and we can't see your comment either. But regardless, thank you, whomever you might be, for your participation. Bibi, we also have Bibi join us #live, another Facebook user. Also saying, joining live with you, Simon. Yes, that Founders podcast was amazing. Absolutely agree. If you don't know what we're talking about, go to our YouTube channel, the official Groove one. You will see that just a few days ago, the Groove Digital podcast with Mike Filsaime and John Cornetta, they talked all about the future of Groove, why YouTube marketing is the future, and why, of course, you should be learning more about YouTube marketing as well. Chanel says, even I want to get checks from Google. Of course, everybody wants to get checks from Google, right? Checks from Google is the ultimate. If you want to learn more about that, make sure that you don't miss out on any of our YouTube and video marketing trainings, because we teach you exactly how you can be doing that. Colin, great to see you as well. Also join us #live. We also have Gary saying free, because who doesn't like free stuff, right? Chanel also likes free. Bibi is interested in our training. Awesome. Kevin is saying yes, you are very welcome, Bibi. And then we also have Jean-Claude saying, hi, would love to see the training. I'm not sure which training you're talking about, Jean-Claude, but of course, if you're interested to see any one of our archives, definitely check out our YouTube channel. Or if you want to reach out to me personally, I invite you to. We also have Heron saying, sweet, send me the link. I'm not sure what link you are referring to, but of course, the call to action is to get in touch with me, right? So we're not going to be sending out any links publicly. Doris is saying hi, and we also have George Konnichiwa all the way from Japan join us #live as well. All right, so with that, that is pretty much all of the content and all of the updates that we have for you here today. And this is something that I believe is going to be extremely, extremely exciting, right? So yes, Jean-Claude, definitely reach out to myself via Facebook, most likely, or if you're on YouTube, we cannot do any types of private messaging or anything like that. So with that, hopefully we find a way to personally connect, because we do want to make sure that with the limited availability, that this only goes out to people who are truly committed, and that means that we're reaching out and personally connected. But with that, this is all that I have for you here today. Of course, I am very excited for all the different things that will be happening, and even more excited to be connecting with all of you who will be reaching out. But on behalf of the entire Groove community and myself, we want to appreciate you and thank you, because that is our update for this fine Monday here. Stay tuned for the rest of this week, because sure, we're gonna have a lot more updates in store for you, which is definitely gonna be very cool. So you're not gonna want to miss out on any of those. Make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, like us on our Facebook pages, join us inside of our Facebook groups, and turn on all those notifications, because you're not going to want to miss it the next time that we go live, especially when we have all these time-sensitive updates. All right, so with that, that's all that I have. Take action right now. Let me know if you have any questions. And as always, we shall see you on the inside.
You gotta get into the groove.